All right, welcome back to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Patrick the Picker. He's here again, folks, and he's got his Ranger jersey on, looking all spiffy.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing.
Yep, we're going to do a pretty abbreviated show today. We're going to just talk about the NHL playoffs. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what was highlighted in JustWomenSports.com. And so we're going to break down each individual series. We're going to find out. We're going to pick Patrick's brain here and let him tell us what he thinks is going to happen and any of the betting odds or anything else you want to tell us. So let's go ahead and jump right into it because we're going to do this quick and fast. We'll start out with the Hurricanes versus the Islanders. Right now the series is 2-1 Hurricanes. Friday night it was 5-1 New York Islanders 1-1. And so we've got a series that will resume again Sunday at 11 a.m. So put that on your calendar. What do you think?
I got the matinee. It was a close game the whole way. They scored with 3 minutes left. The Isles did to take a 2-1 lead, and then it quickly got out of hand. They had an empty netter and a couple just real quick goals. 3 minutes left. So game was tired. It was supposed to be. They needed that win, obviously, to get back in the series. I still think Carolina's a little better team, but if the Isles can win another at home, they both win the home games, it's a whole new series. I'll lean to the Canes still. Islanders, much needed win though, and got the crowd going. They were loud at the UBS Arena in Belmont there to end the game because it was goal. It was quick.
Yeah.
It was quick.
Well, before we go to the next series, which is going to be the Florida Panthers versus the Boston Bruins, we want to remind you that we are broadcasting live here at Brothers Bar and Grill in the shops of Northfield. For those of you that are in the Denver metro area, that's just north of I-70. It's right over by Harkin Theaters and the Bass Pro Shops, so you know the area. Patrick will be jumping in and out here of the picture, so don't worry about that. We're looking at some of these games here, and we have a private party that's coming up here at 1 p.m., so we've got to vacate pretty quickly.
I say we just join in.
Yeah, maybe we'll just stay here and keep going.
I think it's actually a college lacrosse team.
It actually is. It's college lacrosse. It's Providence College is going to be here, so it's a Big E school that is playing against DU this year, or this week.
Down the road, I saw their bus.
Did you?
I saw them walking in and out of the shops yesterday, so
they may be coming in sooner than that. So let's talk a little bit about Panthers Bruins. The series right now is 2-1 Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins has had the season of a lifetime. See whether or not they can actually do well in the playoffs and make it to a Stanley Cup, because it would be really a shame to waste such a great season.
Yeah, and they're not really. Unfortunately, they're hitting a little bit. They said they had the flu bug at the beginning. They also have a little bit of an injury bug. They dominated yesterday on the road. They looked more like the actual team that we've seen all year. They gave up 2 goals late to the Panthers. It was 4-2, but they gave up 2 goals late. They were in control of the game the entire time. Krejci was a late scratch with upper body. Patrice Bergeron has been injured, and Ullmark as a game-time decision yesterday. But again, they don't need to be at full strength to beat the Panthers. I think you see it turning on. Panthers maybe get one more win out of it. It is 2-1 in the series.
Yep, it Bruins. Is. Yep, next game is going to be Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Green Chili's time zone.
Yeah, if they get the win on the road down there in Florida, they're currently in Florida to the next game. If they get the win down there, it's over.
It's pretty much over. All right, let's move on to the Wild Stars. The Wild are leading the series 2-1. Friday, it was 5-1. Minnesota picked up another victory. Their next game is Sunday at 4:30. You want to put it on your calendar.
Rough series. I mean, physical rough. These two just don't like each other at this point. They have not been playing nice. The game before ended with a bunch of 10-minute misconducts to clean up. I mean, there was hardly anybody on the bench afterwards. Yesterday was pretty much the same. The benches are yelling at each other. Wild came out, played real well. I see this as an even series. I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas gets the next one on the road, brings it back, and it's a best of 3. This one, just the makings of 6 or 7, just the physicality, the hatred.
Yeah.
Again, they're chirping through the bench, they're fighting. It is a run. This is
a good series to watch.
This
folks.
is a Game 7 physical matchup. It's also the battle of the stars, because they used to be the North Stars.
Yep.
Then they became Dallas Stars, and then the Wild became the Wild. So when you were watching the Dallas game at home, it was all green. They're both green teams, but they had a lot of the old North Star
uniforms.
So I'm confused as to who they were actually rooting for. Most of them were Minnesota fans. Physical series. I see.
Well, Minnesota fans, most of them are so drunk they don't know who they're rooting for at half the time.
That's state of hockey. They know who they're rooting for.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
State of hockey.
No, I know. I'm over in Wisconsin working, and Wisconsin and Minnesota have this little bit of a rivalry, and so people are always cutting on Minnesota. So that's the only reason I said that. All right, next series we've got the Kings versus the Oilers. The Kings are winning the series 2-1. Friday night, the LA Kings won 3-2. Their next game is Sunday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Overtime last night, 2 of them. I said be worried about the Kings. I wouldn't be surprised if they won. Might see an Edmonton meltdown, but they are a good team. It's still early. Edmonton needs to win the next one. All the games have been pretty much competitive. The second one, maybe not so much. Long review on the overtime goal. The Kings scored in overtime. I didn't even know I knew a lot about hockey reviews. They, away from the play, it was a high stick that they reviewed.
I saw that.
And I was on the Kings side of overtime in the wagers, so thank God they play upheld. And 2-1, my buddy was at the game last night. Joel.
Right on. All right, so we move into a very, very critical series, the New York Rangers versus the New Jersey Devils. Rangers have this one under control at 2-0.
They're never under control.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. They play tonight at 6 p.m.
Still 2 games.
Tell us a little bit about, come on, this is your Rangers. Give us the insight.
Devils crowd was rocking for game 2. They got the first one, and then that was pretty much it. Rangers playing team puck. The guys that they went and got, Tarasenko, Patrick Kane, are producing. Kreider is playing out of his mind with tips in front of the net. He set the Rangers playoff record of goals. That's kind of a big feat for never lifting a cup. And we're talking the old day of '94 when those were good squads.
Messier and all those boys.
Igor's playing out of his mind.
I love Igor.
Well, he's the prince. I got the king on. There we go. That's the king. He's the prince. No, Igor's playing out of his mind. Tanner, our resident Devils fan in town, one of the buddies of mine, he's not happy with the goaltending going on. He hadn't been happy all year. The series goes back to the Garden. They're playing right in the metro area, so no need to fly. They just drive over. Garden's going to be rocking tonight. The Rangers play pretty well on the road, though. They seem more concentrated, so I just want them to come out. If they win this, 3-0's hard to come back.
Sure. So what do you got? Do you have your money on the Rangers tonight?
I'm in-game only from this point on, folks. I really don't bet anything. The line last night in the Nuggets game was -1.5. I really liked it, but I stayed away. I waited till the 4th. I got it 5.5, and that's how I took it.
I was going to say, I heard it was 6 with Jen, and he ended up winning. So, Patrick, just share with the audience a little bit about your 2 big wins last night.
Kings and Nuggets, both in-game. I took the Kings going into overtime at plus, I believe, 112 it was. Mm-hmm. And the Nuggets were minus 110 at minus 5.5 on the 4th quarter line. Right. It was about 5 minutes left. Yeah. That's where I've been profitable, and I'm going to stay there until further notice as my in-game.
He's been profitable, folks. So let's just let sleeping dogs lie, and let's just keep going because you don't F with streaks, right?
The in-game is just, you watch it, obviously. I'm watching the games. And then there's pretty much an algorithm on the apps now, and that's kind of how the lines adjust. And it's for all sports. They have for baseball, they have for hockey, they have for everything. So you're essentially trying to beat the algorithm, but if you're watching the game, you just kind of get a better feel, I guess, if you're watching. Yeah. At least I do. But again, you're going to lose. So the -1.5 was the Nuggets last night. I got minus 5.5. So if you would have taken that early.
Well, today, a perfect example. I did an in-game bet with the Sixers, and the Sixers were plus 100, even though they were highly favored. They're up 3-0 in the series. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But yeah, that's part of my parlay. I did an in-game. I'm going to start doing some in-games, taking Patrick's.
Did the game already start?
Yeah, it started at 11. time
Why is
right
everything
now.
starting so early today?
Because
Maybe I just got
because
up
we're
late.
in Mountain Standard Time.
Maybe
You
I
slept
just
in
got
today,
up.
Patrick.
Yeah, I did sleep. But the snow, it
And
snowed
it
again
snowed.
yesterday.
Yep.
Up 2 inches.
Gotta love it.
Wet
We
and
needed the
stick.
moisture, so and my yard's loving it. It's gonna, nice and
Yeah, the people
easily-
who planted their flowers before Mother's Day are not happy about it.
Well, you're not supposed to. They should know better.
But people get antsy. It was in the 70s and almost 80.
I know. All right, let's talk about Tampa Bay versus Toronto. This game is they're playing a game 3 today at 5 p.m. Tampa Bay and Toronto are tied 1-1. What do you feel about this series?
This is just like the Wild Dallas series.
They don't like each other.
But they've actually played one game at the end of the year, right before the playoffs, and they knew they were going to play each other in the playoffs, and they started the bloodbath then, and it hadn't stopped. They had so many people in the Tampa box at the end of that game, and they started saying 10-minute misconducts. The NHL is trying to clean up the end of the game.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. They don't need the shenanigans and letting things get out of hand. Blowout game 2. Toronto got the second end of the home game. Crowd, of course, was rocking. They lose the first one and they get on tilt in Toronto because every year is their year.
Oh, yeah.
It just hasn't been very good for Canada in general, eh? So the thing with this series, and it's similar with the Kings and Edmonton series, but this is maybe a little bit longer. These guys got to fly and they got to clear customs, and it makes the road trip much different than, say, the Devils Rangers series.
Oh, big time.
Toronto's going to look to win 1 or 2 on the road in Tampa. I could see a split at home in Tampa. Tampa has been the relevant for how many years now? It's going to be energized. It's going to be physical. This one, again, 6 or 7. It's just the way it's built up and the way they don't like each other, 6 and 7.
Good deal. All right, let's talk about
Knights.
Winnipeg Jets versus the Golden Knights over here in Vegas. It's 1-1. They're playing today at 2 p.m. today. That will be a game that Patrick and I probably start watching together. So tell me a little bit about what your feelings are with that. I mean, my personal feelings, I think that Vegas is going to end up winning this series, but what do you think?
Jets might surprise them. Jets
You think?
surprised them. They did what they had to do, split out on the road in Vegas. Now they got to do the same. Go up to Canada, clear customs, and the Jets could surprise them. I just don't think the Knights have been playing what their record showed. They may show up and be playing a little bit better, maybe wake up a little. I don't see a blowout either way in the series. It's already 1-1. I see 6 maybe. I wouldn't be surprised easly if Vegas takes care of their business. But again, with the Kings, I wouldn't be surprised if you see them put up a fight, go 6 or 7, make them work for it. Maybe skunk them.
I didn't get a chance to call my high school buddy who's got season tickets for the Golden Knights, but Timothy, I'm giving you a shout out. I know you're out there watching these guys and hoping for them. Also, too, I want to give a shout out to a gentleman who I work with every day on a daily basis, Matt Johnson. He turned 60 today. February.
birthday, Matt.
Yeah, Matt. Good job.
6-0.
He's the big Gonzaga insider that we use during
I can
college
make it
basketball.
to 60 up, be an act of God.
He looks great for 60. Hopefully he's in the golf simulator today, hitting some balls and having some fun with his son and his girlfriend and everybody else out there. So Matt, congratulations, buddy. 60 more.
The funny thing about the NHL playoffs so far is, of all the series, that the closest in terms of the series closest to a pick'em was the Rangers and Devils, and it's oddly enough that they're the only one that's undefeated at this point. Knock on wood.
Right.
I like to continue that. I like to sweep them, get a little rest. But of all the series that are big favorites, Avs are pretty big favorites. Bruins are big favorites. Everybody won a road game pretty much.
Yep.
So I think you're going to see a lot of these gotta go 6 or 7 unless people can pick up the momentum and sweep the rest of them. Just give them that one win and go on the road and take care of their business.
I agree. It's so long though. The Stanley Cup, we still have another 7-game series and then another 7-game series, and the winners of those 7-game series will then face again each other in the Stanley Cup, which is a 7-game series.
The feat of lifting Lord Stanley's Cup.
It is
to me the biggest.
It's the hardest one
to me.
And it really is. And the reason for that too is they don't get the time off. Like you've already seen the NBA. And when we get to the NBA, we're going to talk about what series they already have. 3 days off in between some of these games. Hockey guys don't take 3 days off. They maybe get a day off for travel, but other than that, they're playing almost every night.
And the physicality
It's just crazy. All right, so the last one, of course, is a Kraken versus the Avalanche, and the Kraken came out and surprised the Avalanche, the defending champion, our guys here local in Denver. The series now is tied at 1-1. The game today is at 8 p.m. tonight in Seattle. What are your feelings on this? Do you think the Avs got a little bit scared in that first game and are going to just kind of snap out of it?
I think they caught him with the pants down.
Yeah.
They kind of played Avs hockey at Avs hockey game 1. And honestly, the first period wasn't much different last night. And then the second, third period was a whole different ball game.
I agree.
Then they're going to have to continue the momentum. They played better defense. They had their offense clicking. They were putting the pucks in the net. They got a little goaltending from Gorgie. I wouldn't be shocked if they go out there. I originally said they would sweep them.
Yeah.
Or 5. I think I said 4 or 5. I wouldn't be surprised, but here's the kicker. Home ice advantage in the NHL, or anywhere, in any playoff sport, but especially, this is the Kraken's first home playoff game.
Yep.
It's going to be wild.
Tonight will be wild in Seattle.
So if
they will be out of control.
They're going to have to take the first wave. They're going to have to take the first punch, see how they do, or go out and give the first punch and quiet them down.
I'll tell you, 2 bets that you may want to consider is that traditional bet of a goal in the first 5 minutes, or there's also another bet that you can do on FanDuel or any of these betting, DraftKings and MGM. A goal scored in the first 10 minutes. That is a bet I'm going to be making. I think the Kraken are going to come out sky high, shooting at the net, and I'm going to place a bet for the first 5 and the first 10 and just see what happens. $5. It's a $10 overall bet, but we'll see exactly how it goes.
Kraken are plus 126 tonight at home, Avs 152. So Vegas still feels pretty much on them.
Yep.
To give you, for instance, the Rangers are minus 154 at home up to, and the Devils are plus 128 on the road. So there's some value in the Kraken line if you think they could do it. Everybody in Denver doesn't seem to think that. I think there's a little chance at home, but maybe what's the over? They got the over. It's actually been a surprising. They haven't scored as many goals as they normally have for both teams on the average. 5.5 is the over, minus 134. Maybe look at that.
That's a good one. I agree too. That might be another one, another $5 bet for me.
I mean, it's
my budget's a lot different than Patrick's, but
odds are.
I still have just as much fun. We had some fun with the horse racing last week. That was just incredible. We ended up tell them a little bit about that horse racing. It was just 4 different venues that we basically bet on.
Yeah, I mean, bet on the tracks. The Run for the Roses is coming up here for Saturday in May. The field is pretty much set with the 20 and the also eligibles. Almost all the jockeys are actually already picked. My buddy was asking me the other day because his wife knows the connections to one of the New Mexico horses at Sunland. The Sunland Derby is a Derby prep. But yeah, we started on the East Coast as always, and then went to the West Coast, and we're doing the simulcast. And it was Keelan closing week, I believe, last week, so we had a lot of action going on over there. And then they had a few other simulcast tracks up, and
I was excited. I picked one horse. I picked the winner, and ended up winning like $21. Covered really the rest of my bets that day, and I think I spent another maybe $20. But the entertainment value was superb.
Yeah, this is essentially the 3-year-old season for the horses. So the 2-year-olds become 3-year-olds, and they go into the Derby, Preakness, Belmont. That's the America's biggest races essentially, and then it turns right into summer, and that's where everybody likes to go out. If you've never been to a local track, a big track, a small track, go out. It's a lot of fun. You don't have to spend a lot of money if you're not a gambler. You can pick the color of the horse. I've seen it all: colors, names, jockeys, connections.
I do
trainers.
if they're biting the horse that's leading them out. If they're biting on them and stuff like that.
And it's all different. There's different surfaces. There's dirt. There's grass. There's synthetic. There is a lot of different. How long it is. Short races, 5, 6, 7 furlongs are the shortest, and then you get into the mile. I mean, for the Derby's a mile and a quarter. The Preakness will follow with a mile and an eighth, and then the Belmont Big Sandy will be 1.5 miles.
Yep.
And then you get into the summer races too. So
Right
warming
on.
up, the temperature's warming up, so is the wagers.
Very good, very good. And today we also want to mention, before we go to the NBA, we're going to just kind of go through the series, just give you a quick update. We're not going to really break down the series. Today is the spring football game up in CU Boulder, and as Patrick was saying earlier, we got a nice little coating of snow. There's 45,000 tickets that were sold at Folsom Field, so it should be interesting to see if there's some tailgating going out there for a spring game. Tell me if there's not excitement about Deion Sanders being the coach.
Well,
45,000 people showing up for a spring game on a snowy day like today. We'll see how many people show up, but you know what? Colorado people are pretty hardy. A little bit of snow is not going to bother them.
The sun's out.
Yeah,
The
all
sun's
they're gonna
out. The field's going to be melted.
They're up there tailgating right now as we speak.
45,000.
45,000.
Yeah, it's going to be a 180 for that program. I mean, they couldn't have gotten any rock bottom.
No.
They were over 30-point dogs in just about every football game last year. And with the transfer portal in any college sport, but especially football, he's going to turn it around fast.
I think so too. I hope so. It'd be nice to see CU being relevant again in the Pac-12.
Kind of on that note, you got Matt Rule getting paid $1 bazillion in Nebraska. I think you're going to see that program turn around fast because Nebraska kind of rock bottom for a while now, kind of like Colorado. They both needed some life, and both schools went out and spent a lot of money to bring in a coach, to recruit people, to get them to come and get them to back to where they were accustomed to being in their conference.
Yep. They had an article about Bill McCartney, who was the former CU coach back in the glory days of the late 80s and 90s, early 90s, and he was saying, he still hates Nebraska. And if you're red, you're dead, is what his quote was in the paper. So they still hate Nebraska, even though they're not playing in the same conference anymore.
They were at WWE last Friday. They were in the city, and Matt took most of the boys there.
All right. Well, let's do the NBA really quick. I'm just going to go through and just kind of tell you a little bit about where the series is at, and then we're going to conclude really quickly with just some stuff that from Just Women's Sports for our women's portion. But the meat of the program was just trying to pick Patrick's brain here for the NHL series. Next week we are going to concentrate a little bit more on the NBA, but of course we're going to use Patrick's insight and we'll get another update.
Too.
Of course we are. Of course we are.
We haven't got college puck to give you. Damn right, we're going to give you the NHL.
I know we are. Don't worry.
And I ain't missing a game right now.
Don't worry. Just make sure you're here next week.
What is next week? That might be my week of gone. I'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so we got Nets versus Sixers. It's 3-0. They're playing right now. The Sixers could end up closing out this series. Hawks versus Celtics. It's 2-1 Celtics. Knicks versus Cavs. Again, your Knicks. You've been watching your Knicks.
You know what? We did not have the game on yesterday because there was not really. I mean, I hate to say this to brothers, but for the main area, there wasn't enough TVs. We were turning puck off last night. Right. Then the Nuggets played a home game on a Friday here in town, and Nuggets kind of took over.
Of course they will.
So,
well, you guys won last night, 99-79, pretty handily.
Yeah.
Won by 20.
I think they were like 7.5 something favorites. I was looking at the in game for a little bit, but then we started to turn our focus to the Nuggets.
Yep. So that series is 2-1 Knicks. Golden State went down 0-2 to the Kings. That was the big talk of the NBA. They ended up winning a game on Thursday, 114-97.
They played,
so it's 2-1 the series.
I said be worried about Sacramento, and they were up that crowd. The thing is, Golden State plays really well at home. That series is getting feisty, stepping on people's chests. Draymond got suspended. I think you're gonna see that one get a little chippy. You got some veterans on Golden State who've been at the top for a while, and you got some young guns coming up for Sacramento. There's gonna be a little push.
I don't think that Golden State can win consistently in Sacramento, and I think we're going to end up seeing Golden State exit early.
You might see the youth take over.
Yeah. Yep. Next series, the Lakers versus the Grizzlies. It's 1-1.
Getting feisty in that one too.
They play tonight at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Heat Bucks 1-1. The big story there is Giannis' knee. He has been out. He is day-to-day. Giannis.
No comment.
Giannis, tomato, potato. Giannis.
I thought it was his back. He landed on his back.
No, you're right. It is. It's a back contusion.
He landed
You're right.
hard
You're
on
right.
his back. He left
I'm sorry
game
about
one.
that.
He tried to come
It's not
back.
an
Then he
answer.
left again.
Yep.
And then he lost, what's his name? Hero. Broken hand. He's going to be done for the
year.
playoffs,
Yep.
essentially. Bucks turn it on tonight. I don't know what this is tonight.
I think you rest Giannis.
It's -5 on the road at the Heat. I like the Bucks.
I do too.
But is he going to play? But when he didn't play this year, they were still good.
Well, I think if you're smart, you rest them unless you need them in this series. So tonight will be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully the Bucks will go up 2-1, 3-1, and be in. My goal is to see the Bucks versus the Nuggets in the final. That's my final pick, my future pick, and we'll see if that works out. Clippers Suns. Suns are up 2-1. The game is Saturday today at 1
TNT.
30. Yes.
1:30. Green Chili Standard Time. Suns big faves on the road, -8. Look at that. I don't know about that.
Wow.
I don't know. Westbrook's been playing very well, but the problem is that he just turns the ball over at the stupidest plays and stupidest times. So it's hard to I don't know.
Yeah, I gotcha. Timberwolves Nugs. Nugs got a nice 3-0 win. Or their series is 3-0. Last night they handled them 120 to 111. I don't think we see any problems with Denver. Hopefully they start resting their starters. I want to be able to see Murray and Porter rested, so that they are going to be strong for the rest of this playoff season. All right, let's talk about JustWomenSports.com.
Let's do the picks for today for NBA.
Oh, okay. Let's do some picks.
Clippers +8 at home. Don't love it, but I'll take it. That's a lot of points on the road playoff. I don't think the Suns are playing that good, but I don't know.
I think the Clippers cover.
I'm taking the 8. Don't love it. The Bucks actually up to 5.5 on FanDuel. They're listening.
Are they?
They always listen. 5.5, taking a half a point. I don't really like the hook there. I like it better 5, but I do think taking the Bucks. I like that.
I'm taking the Bucks. I think they cover.
And our other game that has not started is Lakers at home against the Grizz. This has been an interesting little series. LeBron and what's the name, little fisticuffs and talking crap to each other. I don't know. I have to look at I don't even know, is Morant playing?
Morant's not playing.
He's out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be an in-game bet for me. Flip a coin. Flip a coin.
All right, we'll flip them.
Lakers, I guess. Give me Lakers and a coin flip.
All right, I'm gonna take the Grizz.
This would be a game I would watch and then get the lay of the land.
We'll see how it goes next week. We'll let you know. All right, let's do this real quick. JustWomenSport.com highlights. And so we'll just kind of give you some of the highlights that happened this week. One is the Iowa governor made a bet with the Louisiana governor over the NCAA championship game, which was, of course, Iowa versus LSU. Iowa lost. So what happened? Well, number one, he sent a dozen prime, beautiful pork chops to the governor's mansion in Louisiana, and they also followed up with 1,250 pounds of pork donated to the food bank of Louisiana.
That's a lot of pork.
Now, we were just looking this up just before we came on, and we were talking about what would happen if LSU had lost. The bet going the other way was, and it was an undisclosed amount, but it was this boudin, which is pork, onion, peppers, and rice, seasoned with, of course, the New Orleans special seasoning.
Have you ever had it?
I have not.
I've tried it.
Pretty good?
I like the food.
I love New Orleans cuisine, so I'm sure I would like it.
Serve it, yeah, it's big.
But so that was the bet going backwards. We don't have to worry about that. Also, too, the figures are in for NIL earnings, and the big winner is Angel Reese, the very, very pretty girl from LSU with the big eyelashes. She was number one, and she ended up hitting over 1 million followers on Instagram and TikTok. Wow. She her jersey was selling just absolutely crazy. She made a deal with the NIL store, and so the next our next three other highest NIL recipients. First was Purdue's Zach Eddy, and number 3 was Nakia Mule out of UConn, and then we had Flau Jane Johnson out of LSU. Those are your top 4.
Zach also got Player of the Year.
Zach got Player of the Year in college basketball. He was number 2 in overall NIL money during the NCAA tournaments for both men and women. All right, so let's move into.
And they didn't even go far.
What's that?
They didn't even go far.
No, and his jersey kept selling. You know, everybody loved it, and he declared for the NBA draft, but he has the option to come back and play his final year at Purdue. So he's kind of just testing the waters. We'll see exactly what happens with that.
He's a gentle giant.
Yeah,
I think he needs to stay
a little bit. I think he needs to stay another year. I think he needs to toughen up. You're definitely right. I think if he ends up going to the NBA, he ends up in the D League, which you know what can happen in that. You can become lost in the shuffle and never ever really see the light of day. But again, he's 7'4", so somebody will take a chance on him.
Teach that.
No. All right, Alex Morgan talks a little bit about the soccer, women's soccer, and the NWSL right now is being watched very, very closely by the National Selection Committee, and Poteko and Dravitsky. He is saying that he is going to watch and make his decision for the national team based on how these women perform in the next 2 months. So women of soccer, you are on notice. Make sure you're playing extremely well and taking it very serious, because the next 2 months could determine whether you make the national team.
Most of those games have been on Fox Sports, I believe.
Yep.
1 or 2, Fox 1 or Fox 2.
Yep. And then the last thing is just U.S. Mexico are bidding for the host of the 2027 World Cup. Remember, the U.S. has the Olympics, the Summer Olympics in L.A. in 2028. So it'll be interesting to see if Mexico and the United States can work together and get a World Cup here locally in the United States, and it will be split between Mexico and America. Anything else? Go Rangers.
The Garden's going to be out of control. Go Rangers.
They're ready for us to get out of here up here because they want to get it.
They're starting a party. We got to go.
They're ready to get some
leave.
Providence people in here.
Give it to them.
What's that?
Give them the clothes.
All right. What are we going to do? What do? We always say,
it's your clothes.
Get your side hustle on. Get your side hustle on and
gotta earn it.
Earn it.
I've been earning it lately.
Thank you very much, folks. Tune in next week. We'll be here at Brothers Bar and Grill in the shops in Northfield. Come on down and check us out. Come in today. There's plenty of TVs, lots of comfort food.
7 days a week if you want.
Wonderful servers and good bartenders. They'll take care of you. All right, folks. Have a good day, and we'll see you next week.